Hi everybody and welcome back to Lost Genre Reddit Stories. This post is from the subreddit Relationships and it's by user Transformer Dad. My 39 male wife, 30 female of 6 years is upset I lost weight and wants me back to before. I got married to my wife 6 years ago when she got pregnant. Ideally, we would have dated for longer than 9 months, but it is what it is. And we had our son soon after. Within a few years of our marriage, life was good. I got to learn a lot more about my wife and we got along really well, much more than when we were dating. Then my dad died of a heart attack when I was 35. My dad had just turned 59. This was a reality check and I remembered I cared so much because I had my son. And if I wanted my son to have me around when he was 35, I was at least going to have to live to 31 without keeling over from a similar health issue. I went and did a physical and blood work and found that I had high cholesterol and high blood pressure. I told the doctor my workout plan and diet and set on my way. Following r/lose it was really helpful, as well as r/keto. Within a year, I was down to my normal weight, and within 2 years, I had a six-pack, something I never had when I was younger. From that point, my doctor told me my health had exponentially improved, but I was thirsty for more. I wanted to look even more aesthetically pleasing, so I got a picture of the 300 cover photo and set about building my body for that Halloween. At that time, I think my wife and I must have grown apart. My wife used to always be fit when we dated, but after having our son, she must have been busy to go exercise. I invited her with me to work out. I saved up money and built a separate 2-car garage behind the house to build a home gym. But she would say she was tired or happy the way she was. I would go for jogs with my son in the stroller, and whenever she joined us, she would insist we walk. I asked her to try jogging and she would snap back asking if I don't find her attractive. Of course, I love my wife. I love her as the mother of my child. I love her as the daughter-in-law she is when helping my mother. And most of all, I love her as my wife and how she is forever my companion. This became even more apparent with time. While I would be cooking chicken breast and broccoli for the week, she would say that I should start eating lasagna and fried chicken that I used to eat before. I told her that I didn't want to go back to being overweight or obese. My BMI used to be 32 and the doctor said that was classified as obese. Now my BMI was 25, borderline overweight, but I am at 10% body fat, so I was careful with my food and she got upset. She asked if I thought she was fat, and I calmly told my wife to go ask the doctor because I thought she looked good, but I was biased. After her appointment the next week, she came back home crying. She said her doctor said she was overweight and should consider a diet plan and working out. I thought I would see changes in my wife's behavior, but nothing happened. Now, summer has come around and my son is a bubbling ball of excitement and always wants to go to the pool. I take him to the community pool to play with other kids that live in our neighborhood, and my wife joins us sometimes. Last weekend, the neighborhood had a pool party and everyone and their kids were there. My wife came, and my son and I were having fun, playing in the water and socializing with the people who came there. When we got home after my son took a nap, my wife walked me into our bedroom and started questioning me. She asked me if I was sleeping with X woman who was there, Y woman who was talking to me, or Z woman whose kid I was helping dry off and talking to. I said I didn't know what she was talking about, and then she pulled out her phone to show me pictures she had taken from her seat. They were pictures of me smiling and talking to these women. I sat my wife down and told her I would never cheat. I have a son with her and I loved and cared so much about her. She wouldn't accept that answer though. She said that I must be attracted to those women because they can look good wearing bikinis while she is heavier than them. Her words, not mine. Then she changed the focus to me. She said I was getting all this attention because I was now fit compared to before, and it would cause me to waver in my fidelity now that other women were attracted to me. My wife told me she wants me back to my old self, when she didn't have to worry about other women and we could be comfortable together. She said she feels this undue pressure to become fit herself and feels like it's too stressful to maintain that lifestyle. Can someone please tell me what to do? I am not going to lie to my wife, but if I'm being honest, I think she would be much more attractive if she tried to get back in shape, even just trying. I don't know how I can tell her this without hurting her feelings or making her feel more insecure. Can someone tell me how to approach that? Well, OP, to your question regarding how to tell your wife you think she would be more attractive if she tried to get back in shape, I would say don't do that. Hearing something like that can really damage self-esteem and relationships. I mean, this is your spouse saying they don't like the way you look every day. Sure, some people might think it'll be motivating, but it really isn't. It's your spouse saying it, not a trainer. Now, regarding what she's requesting of you, I find it just as bad. She's asking that you give up a lifestyle that you have worked hard to build and really enjoy to compensate for her insecurities. That's not right. It sounds like she has some self-esteem issues, but that doesn't excuse that she basically doesn't trust your capability to be faithful because you're fit. I would say, OP, keep doing what makes you happy, talk to your wife, try to make her feel more secure and get her to work on her insecurity issues because that's all it is here. At least that's what I see. And what about you guys? What do you think about this whole situation? What would you do if you were in OP's shoes? Let me know in the comment section, and now let's move on to the community comments to see what they said. Ingrathis says, "That's effing disgusting for her to ask that of you. Tell her that what she's doing is unreasonable and you've given her no reason to actually believe you're cheating. Being overweight is what it is and you are so incredibly strong-willed, and I, a random internet stranger, am very proud of you for improving your lifestyle. Don't let your wife throw all of that away for you." And OP responds, "Thank you, kind internet stranger." Smiley face. "The only other person who has said that they were proud of me is my mom and my son. I showed him a picture from before and he said, 'Wow, daddy, you used to be so fat, but now you're like Superman.' At the same time, I understand where my wife is coming from. Back when we were dating, I was wondering what a beautiful girl like her was dating a guy like me. 6 years later, I guess the tables have turned. I think I just need to watch my interactions with other women and make sure my wife does not get the wrong idea." Deleted says, "Your wife probably needs some therapy. This isn't about you, it's about her. She has low or no self-esteem and is insecure. Why don't you offer to cook all the meals for 5 days? Some good, healthy food, and if she enjoys it, you can say, 'See, now that wasn't so bad.' Once she starts getting good food to fuel her body, she may have more energy to feel like starting to work out with you." And OP responds, "She goes to a therapist once a month. She doesn't talk about it with me, but I saw a bill one time and connected the dots. I cook only healthy meals for dinner and breakfast and offered to make lunch for her as well. But she said she likes to buy out. I know she also has a snacking habit where she will go through chips and cookies while working. I feel like I've tried all that I know so far." I'm Not a Junkie says, "If I was your wife, I would miss the old you. Not so much about the weight, but about being on the same level. I'd miss going for walks with our kid. I'd miss the time spent together that you now spend at the gym. I'd miss eating the same food and enjoying it together. You've completely changed your life, which is awesome, but that affects many aspects of life, not just health and appearance. It affects your relationship, and you've changed without her. She is left behind. I am not saying I support her actions, but I think I empathize with how she's feeling. I think if I was her, I'd be very lonely." And OP responds, "I think you're right. I have begun to incorporate morning walks with her after I am done working out. But I need to do a little more. Next thing I know, a year from now, she'll be waking me up to go for a run. I also need to know that we can indulge here and there. Even when I take her on dates, I always skip out on dessert. And I can see she might want a piece of chocolate cake or whatnot and feels guilty. I need to start sharing dessert with her, or at least having a spoon or two and sharing the rest with our son. Something." Additional information from OP's comments. "We went to couples therapy and individual therapy a year ago. My wife said I had changed so much and we needed to talk about our issues in a constructive environment. When we got there, it was all about me and how my libido must have shot up. I talked to trainers and they told me that working out will increase my testosterone to its max levels in my body, and I assumed that was why I couldn't stop wanting to have sex with my wife. I brought up that she would turn me away half the time, and she said that she did it because half the time she felt too unattractive to sleep with the new me, even though she really wanted to. Do you know what the therapist said? Instead of asking her why she felt like that, or maybe she could work on herself to a point where she felt attractive enough herself to be with me, the therapist said I should work on controlling my libido and possibly look into getting pills to lower it. I just walked out laughing and have never been back since. These couples therapy places are more about nullifying issues than trying to work them out. If it's not working, just hide it in the corner and forget about it. No thanks. In terms of us time, I make sure to keep our relationship on solid bedrock. I grew up seeing my mom wish my dad would be less of a father and provider and more of a husband. So I made a promise to myself to never neglect my two duties as a husband and father. I make sure to do little surprise dates where I either stop by her work at lunch and take her out, or drop off my son at my mom's house nearby and take her to a restaurant downtown. I know she likes those little trinkets you see in gift shops and whatnot, and since I work downtown, I keep my eyes open as I walk by windows, and if I see something she might like, I get it and hide it in a bouquet of flowers I get her. I really love my wife so much. Okay, well, the community gave OP some pretty good opinions and things to think about, and OP gave us a lot more perspective regarding everything they're doing as a couple in terms of therapy and their relationship. So now it's time to move on with the update to see how this story ends, but before that, of course, here's another one of my playlists for you to enjoy after this video. Now let's move on. Thank you everyone for your posts and advice. I really appreciate it. I made a few realizations about myself and my relationship with my wife. I wasn't easing my wife into getting into a healthy lifestyle and had completely forgotten that when I started out, I took it very slowly. It took me 4 years to get to where I am now, and my wife was trying to keep up with my current lifestyle, which can definitely be overwhelming. I was trying to look for the perfect opportunity to talk about this with my wife and to ease the mood a little. I went and bought her favorite bottle of wine and a bouquet. I went to talk to her in our bedroom after our son had gone to sleep, and she had these old photo albums. Apparently, she had stopped by her parents' place after work to help them with some summer cleaning, and she wanted to keep the photo album to go through their memories. I gave her the flowers and opened the wine, and we looked through the pictures while we were cuddling. We were leafing through the pictures, and then I saw one of a strikingly handsome man in a football uniform holding a girl that looked exactly like my wife when she was 24, kissing him. My wife was so interested in the picture and she started tearing up a bit. I asked her what was wrong, and she pulled out her phone and showed me a picture of her parents now. They're in their 60s and still in love, but they have lost the shape that they had in their youth. Her dad had a really large beer gut and her mom was overweight, but they were happy. She was saying that when we got married, she was hoping we would be like them. They never worried about losing faith in one another because their attractiveness faded as they grew older, but their love for one another continued to grow. She talked about her old boyfriend, who became so popular in college and girls threw themselves at him that he ended up straying. She was worried the same would happen to me because women in the neighborhood started to talk and say they wished their husbands worked on their bodies as I did. She was starting to feel really insecure. Then I took that opportunity. I gave her a kiss and then told her that she loved me when I was fat, and women like them never noticed me. She still loves me, but those women just lust. Sure, my eyes might dart, it is physically natural, but I loved her so much, valued our relationship so much, and only needed her in my bed. I couldn't even imagine laying with another woman beside her. She started crying tears of joy, and I didn't stop there. I pushed onwards. I grabbed the picture of her parents from college, the pictures she had of her parents now, and a picture of when we started dating on my phone. I told her what her parents did. Losing track of their health but still growing old and loving each other is one way to live. They got the chance to see their grandkids, but I know the health problems her parents have. Then I brought up my dad, how he wasn't able to spend much time with his grandson, and how I want to have the opportunity to see my future grandkids and maybe even great-grandkids. I said I wanted her to be by my side. I took a picture of us now and had the picture of her parents and said, why can't this be us when we're in our 40s, 50s, or 60s till we die? I told her I loved her, but because I loved her so much, I wanted her to become healthy. She doesn't need to get to her pre-baby weight or anything drastic. I told her my story of how I just wanted to get fit, but but then that developed into a desire to look good too. She admitted that she also wanted to get her health back, and at the same time, she was hoping to stick to her New Year's resolution to lose 20 pounds. We talked and set up a plan, so she is cutting the snacks down to 2 cookies a day and logging everything she eats and portion control. That was when she brought up her monthly appointment with her psychiatrist. Apparently, she had been going to talk about how she could get over her overeating habits. I felt so bad. I had neglected my wife when I was trying to become healthy when I could have included her in my journey, and it would have been so much easier to do together. We set up an exercise schedule every day, and she was joking about how we should have sex every day to make sure we got our cardio in. I took the in, and we had sex the rest of the night. I haven't been as intimate with my wife as I was last night since our honeymoon. I hope to keep the momentum going tonight. Winky face. I took the advice of being more intimate with my wife even outside the bedroom and was kissing her and playing around with her while we were making breakfast today when I hear a voice shout from upstairs, "Daddy, you said we weren't supposed to touch girls like that." Ended up having the, when a man and a woman are married and love each other so much, it is okay to do that because that is what leads to a baby. Conversation today. I can still see the shock in his eyes, but it had to happen so I can feel more comfortable kissing my wife and squeezing her butt in front of my son. I am so glad my wife does not have depression and that we were able to work together to put a plan to get back her health. She was showing me pictures of power couples, saying in a year or two she wants to take a picture like that together. So I am so glad that she has that goal in mind. I also feel ashamed. When I was starting, it was to become healthy, but I liked the physical changes I saw in my body. Then, for my model, I picked Leonidas from 300. But my wife, who has restarted her fitness journey, printed out this picture of a husband and wife who are both fit. It just goes to show who loves who more, and I definitely need to work on that. Anyways, thank you so much for the support, Reddit. I really appreciate the help and look forward to helping my wife with her journey, so that together we can live a long and wonderful life seeing our son grow older and his future kids. Well, OP, I'm gonna call this a positive and happy update. You sat down with your wife, you guys talked about what you needed to talk about, and you came out with a plan together, a compromise of sorts for you both to work on something together, which is great. So here's wishing you both all the best in your journey together. Take care, OP, and thank you for sharing. Now, let's finish this video with a mood booster post. This post is from the subreddit Malicious Compliance, and it's by user GoodNeighbor123. Never touch your truck again? You got it, neighbor. I, 59 male, live in a major city in Ontario, Canada. I live in a small subdivision and have 5 neighbors total on my street. For the past few years during the winter, when we're getting a lot of snow or bad storms, as I'm leaving for my overnight shift at around 8 or 9 p.m., I'll put my wife's windshield wipers up on her car and do a quick walk around to my other 5 neighbors and put their windshield wipers up on their cars. Obviously, not if they're outside or something, but if it looks like they're in for the night. Many of them forget to do this, as many of them have children and it typically slips their mind, and their wipers will be frozen in their car in the morning. It's just something nice I like to do to look out for my neighbors. They're always grateful for this and thank me for it. Many of them started doing it too, and there will be nights when I'll forget to put mine and my wife's up, and in the morning one of the neighbors has done it for us too. Anyway, recently one of our neighbors moved and a new family moved in last week. It's a young couple and their 2 young children. The other night I was leaving for my overnight shift at around 9 p.m. It was snowing really heavily and we were supposed to be getting almost 30 centimeters of snow and it was freezing out. So I put my wife's wipers up and do my usual quick walk around the other neighbors. I was hesitant when I reached my new neighbor's house as I'd only introduced myself once, but did it anyway. As I was putting their second wiper up on their pickup truck, the husband came charging out of his front door yelling, "Hey, what the F are you doing to my truck?" I tried to explain to him I was just putting his wipers up to help him. He continued to scream at me to get the hell out of my property and don't touch my crap again. The wife then comes out and started yelling at me too. I apologized and started walking away. Some of my other neighbors heard the commotion and came outside to see what was happening. They tried explaining to him too that it's just something we do, but both of them weren't having it. Fast forward to this morning. I'm arriving home from my overnight shift, and as I'm walking in, I see the wife of this couple struggling outside to break the ice of the windshield wipers of the truck. I guess she was trying to take her kids to school, and the wipers were frozen solid on the car. She sees me and yells over, "Hey there, do you mind giving me a hand, please?" I look over to her and yell back, "No, sorry, thought I was never to touch your crap again, ma'am," and walk back inside. She yelled back at me, "Wow, a-hole." Told my wife about this. She thinks I should have helped her because she was just trying to get her kids to school. I disagree, as I was just following what they told me. Well, OP, you were doing what they told you. Don't touch their crap, so don't touch the crap. Thanks for sharing, OP. And that's it for today's video. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch it. Now, if you've gotten to this point in the video, I assume that you like these stories that I'm reading out, so here are a couple more that you might enjoy. And if you don't have any time to watch another story right now, save it for later, and also, don't forget to hit that subscribe button.